What's up, locals? It's Mike and Kenzie coming to you live from the 775. Your support is what makes this podcast possible, so please don't forget to follow wherever you watch or listen. Now let's get into it. I have a fail for this week.
Tell me about it.
I feel like I haven't been the best of friend. And I have been receiving calls from my friends and I haven't been calling them back right away. I'm not even really sending a text like I'll call you back later today. I'm just not calling. So I want to apologize for being a bad friend because I feel like that's rude and I would hate for my friends to do that to me. I'm not trying to make excuses, but I feel like it's summer. You know, we're busy, we're go, go, go. We're moving, we're shaking. And I feel bad. I feel bad that I haven't been as good of a friend reaching out. And so my failing forward is I definitely learned to reach out to my friends more.
Did you tell them that? Or is this your way of telling them that?
No, this is not my way of telling them that.
That's good. Because that wouldn't be apologizing. That's just putting it out there. I hope you guys listen to this episode.
No, I was on the phone with one of my friends and I knew that he was probably maybe a little bit mad because he was like, I tried to call him back and he sent me a text saying, I'll think about answering the phone.
Like
and
a
I was
sassy
like,
response.
that's fair. I'm sorry. But I don't know. Sometimes I just get like that where I'm like, I just really don't feel like talking on the phone.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people like to talk on the phone. They like to call me, like to talk to me on the phone. And I'm more of like an in-person or a texter.
But not
really the only person that I can talk to hours on the phone with is my mom. But I would rather talk to you in person or I would just rather text you. I don't know why.
You don't know why? You like to talk to me on the phone.
I guess, yeah, I like to talk to you on the phone just to check in. I guess it's because I feel like the friends that I'm checking in with, like it's longer than just 15 or 20 minutes. Like it's usually an hour conversation.
Mm-hmm.
And I think I would like to get it to a point where I could have like 10-minute calls or 15-minute call like check-ins because that's usually what I like to do in between my time.
Yeah,
like I don't just have usually like an hour of time to just like talk, you know? It's like I may have like 30 minutes. Not saying like I'm super busy. It's more just like, I don't know.
You know, I think that everybody receives love differently. And I feel like I've been doing the same thing. I don't really call or check in on my friends. And I feel like guys in general don't do that usually.
Mm-hmm.
But you have gay male friends that are calling you for an hour plus. So
they like
not
to
all
check.
Guys. It's some guys who happen to be straight. I don't know. I think that if you are kind of in like a slump sometimes, like maybe you feel stressed or you've got a lot of shit going on, it's very easy to forget about everyone else and just focus on you because you have to.
Yeah.
And at this age and at this point in life, I feel like a lot of people understand that. We're all going through it, you know? We're in our late 20s trying to figure life out. Everything feels like it's falling apart in the world, and you're just holding on going, I've got this, but I'll call you later.
Yeah, I know. I'm good at texting, though. I did apologize. To the specific friend that I talked about, like, and he doesn't even listen to this podcast, so it's fine. But I did apologize to him, and I was like, I'm really sorry that I haven't been reaching out, and I want to hear about the update on your life. Like, let's chat.
Mm-hmm.
But there are some moments where I'm just like, man, I'm just human, all right? I'm just human. Sometimes I just don't want to talk on the phone, and I would just rather text you. What is wrong with that?
Some people don't get love that way. They're like, oh, it's so impersonal, a text. But you know what?
But see, I text with emotion. Here, sorry. Now I might like get into a little rant here. I feel like I text with emotion, I text with emojis, and like you can tell what I'm feeling in the text. Like it's light, it's playful, it's loving.
It's serious.
I hate when people text with no emotion. I hate it. When I can't tell if you're mad at me or if you're giving me love or what, if I can't tell what's going on in this text, I freaking hate it. Text with an exclamation point, give me an LOL, give me a heart, give me an emoji, give me something. Don't just leave me with lowercase letters and a period.
I think that a lot of people end their sentences with a period as a serious statement. Like, this is serious.
I don't text professionally. It's casual.
Right.
Come
it's a
on.
casual communication. I get it. But when I notice older generations will end their sentences with periods, they're grammatically accurate.
My mom texts with so much expression and emotion, so I would have to say that's false. Actually, I know a lot of older people that text with emojis. They're very good about it. I'm talking about people in our age group, even lower, like even my little brother's age group, like Gen Z. They don't even spell out like YOU. They say you. They don't even spell out the words right.
That's our age group too. Do you remember being in middle school and it was like cute to say what with a WUT?
Yeah.
So there's this girl that I had a crush on. She texted me with that, like a what. And then I started using that. And later on, I was like, this is so gay. I can't. I got to spell what correctly. Like, this is stupid. I'm trying to communicate with her in her language, but I use the same language. It was useless. That just sparked that idea of like, I'm embarrassed about that.
That's really funny, actually.
There's some feminine texts from Mike. A lot of E's on the end or a lot of I's, like, hi.
Did you text like your guy friends like that?
No, I texted them straight, but
you would text girls with like
feminine.
With like, well, maybe girl. I don't know. I think
feminine.
I would like that.
It's feminine to add extra I's on a hi. It's like, I have a crush on you, but a single I spelling it appropriately, I don't like you. What do you want?
Some people hate the LOLs. Like, I love LOL because it just leaves it on like a light, playful note. It does.
I don't think so. I think that LOL can be used passive aggressively, where it's like, maybe we should all split the bill. LOL. Like, no one's laughing about it. You're dead serious. You're adding that to like lighten what you're saying.
Yeah.
But you mean what you're saying.
Yeah, I don't use it passive aggressively though. I use it kind of as like a chuckle, like a smirk. Like my LOL is like the smirky face.
Okay. All right. Enough about all this texting back and forth. Let's make it about me for a moment, shall we? I failed my motorcycle license test this weekend with you.
Yes, you did.
Yeah, congratulations on passing, by the way.
Thank you.
You did excellent. I got jammed up by the test anxiety in general. It wasn't the actual anxiousness, but it was the failure of physical actions.
Yeah.
And I've struggled with that in general when it comes to like, oh man, this is the moment, and I choke. So I went back and rescheduled a little one-on-one session, got some extra training. I can do tight U-turns now, and I passed with 100%.
Which is great.
You know, I'm basically ready to ride with a motorcycle club on the freeway, up hills and mountains, fast. No, I need a lot more experience, but I passed. So that's my failing forward is, you know, if you don't do it right the first time, try again.
Yeah, when I was watching you during the test, I was holding my breath. Like I was literally like, I was like, oh Mike.
So one of the most embarrassing parts of it is like I had fast stops down. There was no issue with that. And then come test time, my thumb gets stuck on the throttle. And so I've got the clutch in, I've got the front brake engaged, and you just hear the bike going, wee! And it's like, oh no. So that was embarrassing. And then what really got me was the U-turns. Like I put my foot down, I went outside the line.
I remember telling you because our coach, he was like, the thing that is going to be a lot of points, like that was his way of saying this is an automatic fail.
It's a make or break.
Is if you go outside of the line and you put your foot down. So I was like, just do one.
Yeah.
Like, go outside of the line. Honestly, just go outside of the line. And you did both. And I literally was like, oh, no.
Let's also take this into reality, all right? You're at an intersection on a motorcycle making a U-turn, and you have a $20,000 bike. are you going to use your great U-turn skills, or are you going to, maybe put your leg out so you don't drop a $20,000 bike? I think most motorcyclists, skilled and unskilled, put that foot down so that you don't lay your bike down.
Yeah, 100%.
And that's what I am.
Also, that test is like solely focused on skills. It's not really focused even on shifting gears, which I think is really important if you're going to be going 30 to 45 miles per hour or more. Like, we shift gears once during that entire practice.
You had a more powerful bike. I was in second a lot of the time. I was shifting gears a lot.
But even, I don't know, I just feel like, and maybe they just trust you that you know how to shift gears, like you know how to operate the bike, and it's more about driving the bike. It's not really about shifting.
Yeah, I think you figure that out on the open road, not a parking lot.
Yeah.
Like, that's the biggest part. You can't really get into third gear safely in a small parking lot. You're going to ram into a wall or a person.
Yeah. I did want to touch on this though, with one of us succeeding and one of us failing at something like that, because I think as a couple, when you see like your partner fail at something where you're like, what is happening?
I just passed this. What's wrong with you?
No, it's not even what's wrong with you. I think it's more of like, how do you deal with that situation? And I think this just goes for life too, is like when someone's like, I guess, not succeeding or someone else is succeeding, like there's always going to be someone that's maybe doing better than the other. And whether that's in career, whether that's in like physical activities, whether that's like IQ, intellectual abilities, like whatever it is, I think it's how you support each other during the times of failure. And yeah, I just want to say, like, I appreciate that you were so supportive of me, like, succeeding during that when you were also feeling really shitty about yourself.
I feel like you felt worse for me than I did.
I did.
Because I took
I was
it on
pissed.
the chin. I took it on the chin.
Yeah, you did.
I was upset, but I was like, this is on me. I choked during the test. Like, I did everything great leading up to it, minus U-turns. I did not have that down. But everything else was fine. And then during the test, I was like, this is literally on me. Like, if I was the proctor of the exam, I wouldn't pass me either. So I couldn't fault them for that. And during like the exit interview, so to speak, when they're like, all right, Mike, we can't pass you. Sorry, bud. Get him next time. As upsetting as that is, you can't be mad at the coaches. You could point to all these things like, oh, I wish you spent more time on this, or I should have asked you for this. I didn't.
Yeah.
That's on me. So that's failing forward too, is taking that right on the chin, and you just keep moving forward, and you go, fuck you guys, I'm going to pass. But they were nothing but supportive. They were like, you are going to pass. Just do it again.
Yeah.
You don't get a redo.
It really was just like, it was just practicing what you needed to practice. It was that stupid U-turn.
But now I'm very dialed with them.
Yeah.
I feel good. Let's talk a little bit about layoffs and getting fired.
Yes.
You ever been fired before?
I haven't been fired, but I've been laid off.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've been through
How many times you say that? Say that like it's not one.
No, I've been through one layoff, and it was during COVID. Actually, at the company that you work at right now.
We don't need to name names. You don't want to throw anybody under the employment bus, do you?
No. But yeah, my layoff was really interesting. Not really that interesting. I worked at the company for 2 months, and then COVID happened. And
last one in, first one out.
Yeah, basically. Last one in, first one out. The thing that I think pissed me off at the time, though, is I was working on a role that they had a really hard time filling because I was doing recruiting. And I was working on a role that they literally could not place somebody there for like months. And so they bring me in to see, all right, can you fill the role?
Yeah.
Literally the day they lay me off is the day that somebody accepted the position.
Like, wow, thank you for your hard work.
Yeah.
Goodbye. I remember you crying.
I was devastated because I was like, I know I'm good at my job. I felt like I was better than like some of the people that I was working with, not to call people out, but I think I was. Like, I felt like I really knew what I was doing and I was excelling at it right away. So yeah, I was really upset. I felt like, okay, well, am I ever going to find a job again? Because so many companies are going through layoffs and COVID. And it was just a phase. It was just like a period in time where shit went down,
Yeah,
and
I
I was
got laid
part of
off
it.
like I think a few weeks before you.
Yeah.
Um, Little fun fact though, you left such an impression on that company that you were welcomed back multiple times, and they had specifically requested you, and you gave them me instead. They're like, it's a no for me, but you can have Mike.
Yeah.
And that worked out well. It's been going decent.
Yeah.
It's been 3 years,
Yep.
so I haven't been laid off yet. Um, yeah, I've been laid off twice. And the first time was in college, and I was working for, we're going to not say the name, but it was a nonpartisan voter registry group
Mm.
that was actually a Blackwater Republican group operating as a nonpartisan, trying to get voters registered as Republican in Nevada. And if you're registered as one of two parties, you can only participate in those primaries in the state. So what they were doing was completely illegal. One day I get a call from like the boss, and she's like, "Yeah, you're laid off." And then a week later, the company is rolled up. They had to forfeit all of their assets to the state because they were operating illegally.
Mm.
And now they've rebranded, and they're part of the Republican Party in Nevada. They're part of a political action committee, and it's called a PAC, like a super PAC, but
Mhm.
smaller. And they try and lobby for different policies. But the same thing they were doing, they're just doing it now in Vegas. So that was number one.
Okay.
Number two, I was working this job in insurance, and I absolutely hated it. I've talked about it a few times now. And COVID happened. I got my entire office sent home because my mom was sick. And I came into work and was like, by the way, I probably should have mentioned this. My mom's got like a cough and a fever right now. She kind of sounds like shit, but I'm here and I feel fine.
Mm-hmm.
And my manager, because we were in like a small room, kind of like the podcast studio,
Mm-hmm.
like 6x10, maybe bigger. And she freaked out. She was super COVID conscious because it's the very beginning of the pandemic when it's like 1 million people dead.
Yeah.
And so she respectfully asked me and everyone in the office to leave. It was like a bomb threat happened. And then we were all remote literally later that week. And within a few months, I got the call and I was ecstatic. I was like, oh, thank God. Because I didn't want to quit and then not be eligible for unemployment.
Right.
And so when they laid me off, because I was only getting $20 an hour, it wasn't much, I was so happy. And I got to keep the laptop. This one right here. Still use it. So that is a blessing in disguise, because that honestly afforded us the ability to move to Truckee.
Totally. I mean, those stimulus checks were literally what made me have a savings account.
That allowed me to move.
Yeah.
Yeah, and start a life. And then we got jobs and we contributed to society again.
Yes, we became functioning adults.
Yeah. Well, I wanted to ask that just because I feel like there's this ego between being fired versus laid off. Like, if you're laid off, you can tell that to your family and your friends and future employers, like, it wasn't me, it was them.
Yeah.
But with getting fired, you're like this useless sack of shit and you should never be brought back ever again.
Totally.
Yeah.
I had someone actually at my previous company who, when my company was going through layoffs, she kept saying that these people were getting fired. And I was like, stop it. Stop saying that. Like, they're not getting fired. They're getting laid off. There is a difference.
Well,
And in fact, like, I'm pretty sure she
got fired.
got fired.
I mean, it comes back to bite you, but I don't know. I feel like the firing and the laying off is similar. It's, hey, we no longer have a need for you. Goodbye.
Mm-hmm.
It's cold. Like, it's very cold.
Yeah.
I've never had a warm layoff where it's like, I am so sorry to have to do this to you. It's always, we have HR on one screen and me on another. Thanks for your time. Effective immediately. You're locked out of all of your accounts. Go fuck yourself.
Yeah. Why is it so cold? Like, why can't they have a little more
Like
empathy?
emotion.
Yeah.
Yeah. When one of my managers got laid off, like, she had given like a decade of her life to the company, and they just done like that. And I was like, what the fuck? Like, this is supposed to be some happy little family, and you get rid of her, and all of a sudden, just another day at the office. Like, that's not cool. That really
Yeah.
like throws a wrench into morale when that happens. So I think that as a manager, you need to really have that down pat.
Yeah, I feel like it's okay to show empathy. I don't know if there's like some legal regulations about it, because I'm sure if you were to have like a conversation of like, I think they try to keep it as short as possible, because if there's any other information, it can be used against you. Like it probably would open up the door for maybe a lawsuit.
Mm.
I would assume.
Well, I feel like you got to tell them why they're being let go. Like, sorry, the company is financially not doing well. We cannot afford to pay you anymore. Like, that's a perfectly understandable and
Yeah.
maddening excuse. But I do think some form of like, pleasantry, some form of like, hey, I'm so sorry to have to do this, but I've never experienced that. It has been cut and dry to the point. Thank you, no, thank you, goodbye.
Yeah.
And
I
that
think
feels like you're being fired, but you're not. I mean,
yeah.
you're out of a job.
I
It's the
mean,
same thing.
you also got fired with like multiple people on the call. Like it wasn't like a one-on-one that you
No, it
had.
was. Well, it was me, the manager, and HR. And then they let him go like a month later.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah. Yeah, they need somebody to shut the lights off. So, how terrible is that? Like, you lay everyone off on your team, and then it doesn't go through your head like, I'm next. And then
Yeah,
the
you
next thing
think
you
that
know,
you're safe until you're not.
yeah.
That was the anxiety that I had though at my previous company because we were going through a lot of layoffs and I was like, then you just keep thinking like, am I going to be it? And it doesn't instill more motivation in
Hmm.
you really because it's not, it seems like it wasn't always about output that they were looking at. It seemed like they were just trying to cut costs where they can of like who can take on more work.
Hmm. Yeah, how do we cut down our staffing cost
Right.
and keep the output the same and pay them less?
Yes.
Yeah. Some companies, instead of laying people off, I saw this poll on LinkedIn, and it was, would you willingly take a 10 to 15% pay cut if your company went through no layoffs? And so many people said yes, and I call bullshit. Like, if my company came to me and said, Mike, we're going to cut 10% of your pay, that seems illegal. Like, I would never say yes to that. Like, oh,
So you would rather get laid off.
no, no, no. I'm saying like it's a virtue signaling thing. Like, if you insulated your teammates from being laid off, but it cost you 10 to 15% of your check, would you do it? Absolutely not. I would I would keep that 10 to 15% and they would lay those people off and it would be sad.
Oh, I see what you're saying. You're
Yeah.
not saying would you rather get laid off
Right.
or rather get a 10% pay cut.
It's either everybody gets a 10% pay cut or layoffs happen.
So they posed it as if you were a manager and you had to lay off people, would you rather keep your money? I feel
No, no,
like
no.
you
Like, employees got that option. Like, listen, guys, if we all get together and we all lose 10% of our check, we don't have to go through layoffs. We can keep the same team.
right.
If that's on the table, layoffs are already around the corner. It's happening. There's not enough money. So why would you willingly give up 10% of your check to the company that's failing?
Mhm.
That's not your problem. Another thing with layoffs, it's not about output. It's not about what you're producing as marketing or as like other things that are like marketing. It's, does your business sector generate money? And if it doesn't, you're on the chopping block.
Mhm.
Also, if you're in a money generating sector and you're not generating money, you are out of there
Yeah.
immediately. They flush those pipes and put new ones in. So it's a little crazy. You wanted to play a little game,
I did want to play a game.
a hot little game.
It's called Fired or Hired. I created 4 profiles, and this is based off of the scenario that you're a manager working at some kind of like maybe hospitality, maybe like a restaurant, food and beverage, or
Maybe a hotel.
maybe retail, like just customer facing.
Okay.
Customer facing.
So it's called Fired or Hired.
Yes, it's called Fired or Hired. So they're actually already working.
It's like Smash or Pass
Yes.
for jobs.
Yep.
Okay.
So the hired part, they just get to stay.
Right.
Because I didn't know what other kind of creative thing I could have came up with. Anyway, but the fired is that they're fired. Okay, profile 1. This person's personality is positively contagious. They make customers feel welcome when they step through the door, always trying to upsell the products, but mostly known for creating a positive work environment, creating 5-star Yelp reviews for your company, and keeping your colleagues happy. However, they constantly show up late to work with one excuse after another. They're constantly asking you for a raise, but do the bare minimum at work. Hashtag personality hire.
Is this you? I'm just kidding.
No.
I'm just kidding.
I am a personality hire though in terms of the personality.
You have great personality. and great work ethic. Fired or hired on that one. If they're constantly late, am I able to ask questions, or is it just that and I make a decision?
You're just spacing it off of the profile.
Okay. How late are we talking? 15 minutes every day?
Late is late. Again, you can't ask questions. It's just based off of the profile.
Hired. They're staying.
They're staying? Okay.
If they're constantly upselling and generating revenue, I can look the other way for now.
And they're constantly asking you for a raise, but do the bare minimum.
Yeah. I'll keep them. As long as they'll keep asking, I'll keep saying no and keep them.
Okay. All right. Profile 2. This person is fantastic at their job. You can always rely on them to get the work done and get it done right. On the days that they work, sales seem to go up. However, this person is not a culture fit. They are disrupting the energy within the team, which is causing high turnover.
You talking about me?
No.
So they're
Fired. For
I
me,
think
fired.
it's fired. What was the second part, the however part?
However, this person is not a culture fit. They are disrupting the energy within the team, which is causing high turnover.
Yeah, no. One person is probably not going to generate enough output to justify getting rid of other people.
Yeah.
Fired. That's culture cancer. I've been around
Culture is really important.
it. Yeah.
Like, I have noticed that even just in the work experience that I've had on teams. Culture is really freaking important.
Mhm.
Like, you need to have camaraderie. You need to like who you're working with, because when you don't, work sucks.
Yeah.
You're not motivated. And when you're not happy at work, you're not generating output. Like,
It's a cancer. There's a guy on my team who I absolutely love because he sets the tone with a positive attitude every single day.
yeah.
Like, coolest dude ever, super sweet. He has the best attitude. And if he were to leave, I think there would be a lot of like shit stirring. Like, it would immediately erupt into like, oh, I'm bitter about this and that. He keeps everybody like positive and cool.
You need those type of people.
You do. They are the glue that holds everything together. And
Yeah.
without them, we get cranky. We start pointing out like, it's 69 degrees in here and it's a little too hot for me. I don't want to work anymore.
Okay, profile 3. This person is always taking one for the team, covering shifts when needed and staying late. They will do whatever it takes and however long it takes to get the job done.
Sounds like a whore.
They have no interest in moving up or learning new skills. They are just really good at what they do. However, they have a really annoying habit of trying to one-up you in conversation, and they make jokes about taking over your company.
Hired. 100% hired. If they have no aspiration to grow, they're just joking like, I'm coming for your job. Stay in.
I just thought this was funny when I made this up.
You're good in my book.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you know those people that are always trying to one-up you?
Yes. Sometimes I'm one of them on accident. I don't mean to be, but it's an annoying habit that I try to break.
All right, profile 4. This person is the class clown of work. They're always cracking jokes, making time at work pass by fast, and create a fun work environment for their colleagues. Customers look forward to seeing them and even try to see what their schedule is so they can time their visits to see them. It also doesn't hurt that they're hot, like model status hot. However,
Hired.
However, they unload their drama and baggage to you any chance they get.
Sounds about right. Hired.
Gosh, I don't know if I could take that though. Like someone just spilling their drama to me every second they get.
That adds a little flavor.
But that would also like hurt like
The culture cancer.
the culture a little bit. Like I think everyone would be annoyed.
But they're hot. So you can put up.
And
here's
they're
the
a
thing.
class clown. Like that's the thing. But it's just you. Like it's
Yeah.
just you. Like you're the manager, the owner of the company, whatever. And they're just coming to you. But like to everyone else, it's okay. And you're like, fuck.
Yeah, hired. I'd keep them. And I'd say, hey, I'm going to sign you up for better help. I'm personally going to pay for it.
Yeah.
Here's an account. Shut the fuck up and stop giving me your package. Go be hot in the corner.
Go be hot in the corner.
Dance for me, clown. Well, that was a fun game.
Yeah.
I like hired or fired. Do you know about the square root rule at work?
No. What is
So
that?
it's not a law. It's not 100%, but I think most of the time in every work experience and every team dynamic, you can look at it and go, this is pretty accurate. It's a truism, right?
Mm-hmm.
Not a law, but a truism, generally accepted. So the square root principle of the workplace is if you have a company of 100 people, 10 of those people do 50% of the work for the entire company. They are the workhorse. They are the people who are, underappreciated. They go above and beyond. They're always taking one for the team. They show up early, get out late. Like they're a true team player. Generally speaking, in group projects, I see it at work. There's a handful of people who do most of the work, and everybody kind of coasts on those coattails. Do you see that? Have you seen it or experienced it before? Do you believe it to be true? Serious question.
Of people just coasting? Or what
Yeah,
do you...
yeah. Like there's one or two hard workers, and the rest are literally coasting on the work of other people, and they're just kind of there. They're showing up,
Yeah,
asses.
I've seen that multiple times. I've experienced it multiple times. Like, I usually don't love group projects. The only reason I like group projects...
Is to coast.
No, it's not to coast.
I'm gonna be the hot class clown.
No, it's not to coast. Like, the only reason I like group projects is if it's a presenting project.
Mhm.
Like, I've had that before where there's three of us presenting, like, and it's maybe a 45-minute presentation. I I hated presenting. So splitting that time with the group, that's the time that I like to actually do group projects because then it takes away from having to do it all yourself.
I hated group projects because I love presenting. I'll be the guy in front of the class who's like, yes, this is what it is. And I don't like reading directly off of slides. I hate that. Like if I'm in a group project with somebody and they just stand there and read the same thing that everyone else is reading,
Yeah.
I want to blow my brains out. Like,
Well, even in the motorcycle class, you had a fun little presentation. You literally like took it for the group.
yep. Like, don't worry, guys,
Like
I got this one.
yeah, like me and the other guy were just coasting and you were like, "No, I got this." You did an art piece and you presented.
Yep. And you guys had great input. I took the input, I ran with it. I went, guys, I have a vision. Follow me. That is,
Is it because like you want to have control over what happens
well, you
and you
saw the
don't
other
want?
projects, right? You saw the other drawings and
Yeah.
diagrams. If anyone else but me were to get on that whiteboard, do you think it would be anything besides a bird's eye view? A crisscross intersection. Here's vehicle A, here's vehicle B.
Yeah.
See the stops. Do you think that it would be in 2 dimensions or 3?
Too.
I think everybody
Yeah.
was thinking in 2D. And I went, I have an idea. Big tits. First thing. We need a fixation point, a distraction on the road, hot lady with huge jugs.
Yeah.
And that, it's just a little fun, like a little looseness because everybody's so matter of fact. No one wants to be there. It's a boring class where you're like, click through slides. When
I
is this
know.
over? Let's talk about potential traffic incidents. And it's like, let's make some fun out of this.
Mhm.
That's why. If I didn't give a shit,
I was more talking about in general with group projects. Like you don't like it because you do like to take control.
yeah,
And you're usually the leader in it.
yeah.
And it's
Creative.
annoying to have to like kind of project manage other people.
I don't trust other people to execute the vision that I have, so I would rather just do it.
Yeah.
That is what it comes down to. Is I have an idea, I think my idea is better than yours. Let's do this one. And I think I'm right most of the time on that because I see other ones. I'm like, God, this is so bleak. There's no color. There's no boobs. There's no ha-has. Like this is
Do you think that translates to like individual sports versus team sports?
no, I don't. I think that it's a completely different arena. I think I operate similarly. Like I like to step into leadership mode sometimes. But generally speaking, just let me do my own thing.
Mm-hmm.
Like on team sports, I've been a captain a few times. I've like led certain teams, but never was I the best by any means. It was just because I was good at barking out commands and having a vision of this is what we should do.
Yeah, I think that you're definitely thinking on a team level. I'm talking about individual sports like operating
Mhm.
individually and competing individually, not with other people and relying on other people.
Well, now that we both do individual sports, I feel like I take instructions terribly. I have a vision of what I think should happen, and I'm going to do that.
Yes.
And your input will be heard. They will not be executed unless I think it's better than mine.
Right.
And yeah, I think I take back what I said. Directly translates. Yes, I agree. Do you think that employers should be allowed to consider IQ when they're hiring?
I think it depends on what the range is.
Of IQ
Like,
points or money?
oh,
Oh,
wait, so they give
we
you
just
more money if you have a higher IQ?
no.
Oh.
I was just to throw that out there for you. No, I think like if you're hiring somebody and you look on paper and you
Yeah.
see their IQ and it's subpar, does that go into your determining should I hire this person or not? Maybe it's an unskilled labor job.
Are we
Something
just solely looking at the
IQ.
IQ? We're not
Yes.
looking at any experience involved with it?
Eliminate everything else you see a number on a sheet.
Oh, yeah. If you're only looking at IQ, I think that no, I don't think that you should hire based off of that.
Mm.
If you're only looking at a number,
Mm-hmm. You can't
yeah,
define people by a number, but you can
no.
definitely define certain ranges of ability intellectually by numbers.
But there's also work ethic that goes into it. There's also personality types. Like, there's so much that makes up a person that I think solely basing it off of IQ is not a good way to go. Because let's just say you were to hire the smartest person that's in the room.
And they're dumb.
Well, no, they're the smartest person in the room, IQ wise,
Mm-hmm.
but they don't want to work.
Mm-hmm.
They know that they're the smartest person in the room. They know that they don't have to work to get this done. They know somebody else could do it for them.
Mm-hmm.
So they might try to cut corners. They might try to sly you. They might try to weasel
Yeah,
because they're smart.
they're little chess
Sometimes
players.
you need dumb people to work for you or
Right.
to work alongside you.
So the same question applies. If you saw somebody with a higher IQ and you have an unskilled labor job, you might lean towards someone who can just take directions and do and not ask why and just, okay, dig a ditch. Okay.
Yeah, but that's a personality type too. Just because they have that IQ doesn't mean they're going to be like, okay. Like
Right.
they might not say okay and they might like go blow up the site.
Jesus. So now they're domestic terrorists?
No, I'm just saying like they might not do it well.
Okay.
Like I think
I gotcha.
that
I gotcha. I was a little
yeah.
extreme. The reason that I think that is because IQ, intelligence quotient, it's a general predictor for certain things. Your educational output, professional, social, economic, your success and failures are correlated, not directly corresponded, but correlated with high and low IQ. IQ stands for intelligence quotient. It is the standardized test to measure general intelligence across reasoning, planning, problem solving, abstract thinking, complex thought comprehension, ability to learn quickly, and the ability to learn from experience. That's what it measures. So you have a range, and the bell curve, so to speak, is where you get the cluster of like averages. So in the center, in the United States, the average IQ is about 100. And then you have a standard deviation, 15 points each way. So 100 to 115, you're in that intelligent category of average intelligence. 100 to, what is that, 85, you're in substandard average intelligence. And then beyond that, it goes lower and lower. So that's below average, significantly impaired. And on the other side, it goes gifted, significantly gifted. That's like the deviation. So most of the population falls around 100. About 3% is above 130, and about 3% is below 75. There's some really interesting stats around all of that because
Okay.
they think that IQ doesn't predict a lot of things, right? Like socioeconomic status or creativity. Like it can't really predict those things. But lower IQ is a predictor against other IQs in how you do in society. So if you range 75 to 90, you are 88 times more likely to go drop out of high school. You're 7 times more likely to go to prison. and you're 5 times more likely to live in poverty than somebody with 110 IQ or above.
Mm.
That's significant. That's a big deal.
Are you born with IQ, or does it develop over time?
So it stabilizes in childhood, according to research. I did some research, and when I say I did research, I read other people's research from PhD professors at University of Toronto and University of Delaware. They study neuroscience and psychology. They study intelligence in both of those disciplines. And what they found is that your IQ, you get between 40 and 80% of it inherited from your parents. So if you have dumb parents, it's very difficult for them to make a brilliant child. And that's also partly environmental. So that 40 to 80% could be inherited through genes from if your parents have, high and medium IQ, you might split the difference, be somewhere in the middle. You might get a little bit more of someone else's DNA and be a little smarter or dumber.
Mm-hmm.
The other aspects are environmental. So by the time that you're 3, if you have a poor diet and you are lacking in vitamins and nutrients, your IQ is most likely going to be damaged by about 10 points or more, which is significant. And then as you get older, access to education and those types of things, were you being read to? Like how many words did you hear before 5? All of those things really matter for the development of the brain, for learning. So it's not so much about are you dumb or stupid, is your brain geared up to learn by the time that you really need to be learning,
Right.
which is right around 3.
Wow.
Yeah. And then after that, it starts to stabilize in childhood. And there's a few things you can do that will harm your IQ, but there's like ingesting a lot of lead and heavy metals, lead-based paint, gasoline, all of that.
They used to say smoking weed would lower your IQ. Is that true?
Well, from personal experience, I took an IQ test sober and I took an IQ test high and I dropped 10 points. So
I guess it does.
I think that,
But not long term.
no, it's temporary.
Yeah.
I don't think weed makes you dumber necessarily. I think it makes you slower. So part of an IQ test is pattern recognition, how much time it takes you to recognize a pattern and answer a question. So you can answer the same amount of questions right or wrong, but because it took you an extra 40 minutes, that's accounted for.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
we took an IQ test on the Impulse app. And if you don't know what the Impulse app, you probably have gotten Instagram ads for it where they play little games and you're like, that looks so fun. Like, I want to play. Like, it literally,
they're brain games.
they are brain games, but it's like, I immediately downloaded the app after I got fed it on Instagram because I was like, I really want to play these games and see what I score. And we ended up taking the test.
General IQ test.
And yeah, the general IQ test. And as I was like taking it, I was probably on like question, I don't remember how many questions there were. I was on like question like
60.
15 at one point, and it started to get harder for me to go fast. And I was like, oh no.
Yeah, it starts easy and it gets progressively harder.
Yes. And so like, and that was by question 15. I was like, oh no.
Like,
how many more questions are there? And then like by the time like I ended the test, I was like, wow, like it literally like I could not recognize the patterns. Like I really was trying, but I'm like, also to give some context, I was laying in the bed. I was like on my side.
You're oriented different.
Like I wasn't like straight on, and I'm probably just making up excuses. But anyway, I did score. I scored a 115, which
is not bad. It's
yeah, but
it's right at the cusp of above
it's the
average.
cusp of above average. Yeah. It also could be just considered average.
Yeah, it could. So good news for somebody with an IQ of 115 or above. Let me scroll on down to my notes here about IQ.
Yeah, make me feel better.
So according to the University of Delaware, people with an IQ of 115 and above are able to do nearly any job. IQ of 115 plus removes intellectual restrictions. So you're able to perform complex work, managing multiple tasks that are ambiguous, changing, and unpredictable. If you can manage those things, you can do any job, theoretically speaking. You could learn rocket science. It would take you a long time, but you could figure it out. That's what an IQ of 115 qualifies you at. You could literally do any job and figure it out. It would be difficult, but you can get there. People below that,
Wait, hold on. That was your point to make me feel better?
you can do any job. It's not a limiting factor. Like, you're capable of learning and doing any job. It is that limit right there. And they say that people below that range struggle. Like, they will hit a wall where it's like it just doesn't click. You can't really think about future scenarios. You can't think about ambiguous directions or complex thought. You can't think abstractly. And that's a very important aspect for management. That's a very important aspect for dealing with people. Like, that comes in handy so much. People are not born with a fixed, unchangeable level of intelligence. However, it is seen to stabilize in childhood. So you can grow your IQ to a certain point. Part of that is with different nootropics, brain games, trying to work on like
So you
conceptual
can
thought.
grow it
You
until
can.
when?
Well, neuroplasticity is something they're still studying. So neuroplasticity is how much can your brain change over time. As you get older, you get crystallized neural pathways. And psychedelic research is showing that they're actually able to break that. But you know how old people get stuck in their ways?
Mm-hmm.
They go a specific route, like they do things a very particular way and they
Yeah.
don't break that. So that becomes an actual neural pathway in your brain. And they're looking to reroute it with psychedelics. So they're doing a lot of like psilocybin studies, LSD studies to try and figure out how can we retrain neural networks to figure out other shit and learn new things. And it's not necessarily raising your IQ, but it's learning a new way. And when you increase your neuroplasticity, you're able to learn more. And you can either learn faster, and that actually improves your ability for pattern recognition to score higher on an IQ test. So there's also controversy around the IQ test. Like,
Tell us.
well, some claim that IQ tests happen to favor white English-speaking middle-class Americans. And they say that it's not fair.
They?
They. The liberal media. It is mostly like liberal arts colleges, DEI. They look at dispersion graphs and go, okay, this is favoring basically middle-class white Americans who speak English.
Mm-hmm.
Not true. If you're looking at one data set, you go, okay, this is true.
Mm-hmm.
Not the case. You also compare it to like people in Hong Kong and Taiwan. The general average is around 110 to 112 to 116. In Japan, Korea, all these other Asian countries, they're about 10 to 15 IQ points higher than us on average. So it doesn't necessarily favor Western culture, Western values. It's pattern recognition. And they try and put like the race card on it, but it's equally dispersed across races, classes, like where you come from, pretty equally dispersed among groups. So it's not a racist test. And part of where I'm getting that data, University of Toronto, University of Delaware, PhD researchers working in neuroscience and psychology, studying intelligence. All they're saying is that the tests are not culturally biased as they predict equally accurate across race and social class, offering nonverbal pattern recognition tests, as well as tests that people can take in their native language. So
Yeah, the test that we took is non-verbal. It's
Yeah.
just pattern recognition.
yeah, there were no
And how
words.
fast that you can recognize the patterns.
Yeah,
Like,
it's like, do you understand what we're asking you?
Yeah.
All right, go. Because there wasn't directions. Did you notice that?
yeah, no directions.
You just figured it out.
Yeah, figuring out the pattern. How fast can you identify
That's step
like
one.
similarities?
That's
and
literally step
differences.
one, is you figure out what is being asked of you without any instruction. That's the first
Yeah.
checkbox on like the IQ test. So if you can't figure that out, it goes south very quickly. Yeah. I just wanted to share that because I found that very interesting that there was this controversy. Like, we watched a video about how IQ tests were racist on YouTube, but I don't really remember a whole lot of the content other than they were saying that it's racially biased. I did do some research on like,
I think it was also the lack of education resources.
which is a huge factor for your ability to learn.
Yeah.
If
Like,
you
I think
have
that's why
access.
they were saying it was racist, is because there are certain groups of people that don't have access to the same education that middle class white Americans do.
Mhm. Well, with the advent of the internet and the accessibility of phones and smartphones, I do think that you have access now.
I think
It's-
now you do.
It's
Definitely.
it's literally the interest to actually pursue it
Yeah.
is the issue. And I think that Not a lot of people, after they complete like their mandatory schooling, are super interested in learning unless you have a curious mind. Like a lot of people are just like, I'm done. No more reading, no more learning. This is what I do. I like watching football and smoking cigarettes and going to Hooters. And that's me.
I was just about to say though, like I remember I had to read books when I was younger because of school. Like I was forced to read books and I never liked reading books.
Mhm.
And now that I'm older and like I don't have to do any of that stuff, like I have the freedom to just go on my phone or listen to a podcast or watch a movie. It's like now I'm yearning to actually read something.
Yeah.
I'm like I'm learning or I'm yearning to
I'm yearning to learning.
I'm yearning to learning.
So the IQ dilemma, right? One of the questions that we talked about off camera, off mic, was family hereditary IQ. And I did a little research on it, not a lot. Mind you, I'm not the PhD neuroscientist here figuring shit out. I'm just reading some of their writing. What they found is that the eldest sibling is typically born with the highest IQ, partly because their parents do make the most amount of mistakes raising them. So they actually have to learn real world issues and learn from their issues. They learn from their problems. So damaging your child a little bit actually gives them the opportunity to learn and fix those things and become a little bit more intelligent. That's part one. And then with each sibling that you have, it's about a 3 to 4% decrease in IQ points, generally speaking. And so the youngest is usually the most shit out of luck. But 3 to 4% IQ points for most people is about 1 to 1.5 points lower. It's not very significant. But across family members, it could, on average, it's about 12 points difference.
Yeah.
So
I wonder like the complexities of that, like how deep that goes because like both of my parents had like kids before getting together.
Mhm.
And so I just wonder, am I technically the first child?
No.
Like genealogy. Okay, wait, whoa, words. Like from,
Oh, you know what?
you know what I
You're right,
mean?
'cause you have
Like,
half siblings.
right.
So
Or yeah.
that data input looks different
Like,
than
like
what I
not,
was looking
like I'm
at.
not technically, like I'm not the oldest, but from a
From your parents,
biological standpoint, from my parents, I'm technically the oldest.
from a genealogical
Y-
standpoint, from where you're
yeah,
getting
from a
your
genealogical.
genes.
I don't know the words.
No, well, that's what it is. It's from the genes that you got.
Right.
Yeah, you are basically their oldest child from both of them.
Right.
That's
So
interesting.
does that matter if they have kids before or not?
I don't think like you're imparting your IQ and then you lose a little bit and it trickles down to your kids. That would be fucked. Imagine every single time you had a kid, you got a little dumber.
No, not.
Mormons would be screwed.
No, I'm not saying my parents get dumber. I'm talking about like because what that wouldn't make sense, right? Like if you're saying that the oldest
Mhm.
gets the most IQ,
Statistically speaking.
so then I get yeah, how would that work for me?
You get the most IQ from your parents. Your half siblings got the most IQ from your parent and the other parent. That
Right.
is not your parent. It's different DNA.
Yeah, it's just interesting.
It's very interesting. And the fact that you can have like a 12-point deviation sounds like a lot, but it's kind of normal. Like if you look at the IQ spectrum on the bell curve, like 15 points is a standard deviation, 12, still in the same range. Might be one lower, one higher, doesn't really matter. Part of it is also like, what was your environment?
Mm-hmm.
Because the firstborn sibling will not have the same environmental factors as the second. Parents learn a little bit. Maybe they change the diet. Maybe they don't give their kid candy and like other shit. Or they give their kid candy and other shit because they fed the other one apples. I don't know. These are terrible examples. I'm running out of steam.
Yeah, what is going on with you?
I'm grasping at straws. But I don't think that you should let a number define you. I think there is a certain limitation point of like, okay, we can't employ somebody who's a 75 and below. Like
Mm-hmm.
you don't follow directions. Like I have to hire someone else to overlook what you're doing. It's just more work, more money for the
Right.
same output. Can't do it. But general intelligence and above, you really can't slap a label on somebody and be like, you're useless. Or
Yeah, no, I don't agree with that at all. However, I think that there are moments because I know that I don't have the highest IQ, clearly.
Mhm.
I took the impulse test and I'm at the cusp of average and above average.
you're in a good spot. It's not bad.
I'm gonna retake that test because I feel like I can do better.
Did I say my score?
No, you did not.
In case you're wondering, it's 132. The end. Let me just flex this useless number that I'm not putting to work at all. I'm not doing research. I'm not doing anything cool. I take it.
Anyway, so I feel like I do notice when I talk to people that have a higher IQ than me, like I can recognize it. Sometimes I don't like those people.
Mm-hmm.
I feel judged. I feel like I can't talk freely without them thinking that, oh, this girl's an idiot.
Mm-hmm. But you're not.
I know that I'm not, but I did have like kind of a hot take.
About intellectual superiority.
A little bit.
hear
I
it.
said the worst people to be around is people you don't feel safe to say stupid shit.
Mm-hmm.
The people you feel the most comfortable to be around is usually the time you can act like you have a 70 IQ.
It's true. I agree with that hot take. I do think there's a level of love and safety and comfort where you're like, listen, guys, I'm going to take some risks
Yeah.
here. I could be totally wrong. I feel okay being wrong in front of you. Let's try it.
Yeah, I feel like and maybe it has like nothing to do with IQ. It's more just about being around people that think they're always right.
Mhm.
And you know that they're smart, they know that they're smart, like, but it feels like there's just no room to like make a mistake or say something and that you didn't mean to say. Like it's just,
You fool.
yeah.
Yeah.
I hate being around those kind of people because
Yeah,
it
me
makes me
too.
feel bad about myself. I'm like, man, I'm not perfect.
Mm-hmm. I get a stick up my ass when I'm around those types of people. I get all proper and like, oh, I can't be silly. Like it just goes out the window,
Yeah.
which sucks. I want to be a silly, goofy gal.
Yeah, I just wanted to share that hot take because yeah, you do notice that those people exist and they're not always nice.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
you also notice people that have a lower IQ than you and you're like, "Oh, fuck." So then I do understand like how those people with like higher IQ probably feel around me sometimes. And I'm like, "Oh man, I'm sorry." Like, "Oh, why'd you say that?" Like, "Why are you acting like that?"
Yeah. It's like, why don't you get it? Just get it.
Yeah.
Like it's this simple. Come on. Well, IQ forces us to admit that some of us are gifted and some of us are dull. And that's a really uncomfortable factor to accept. And it's pleasant to think that we're all equal, but part of what makes us equitable is that none of us are equal. Nobody is the same. We all have different experiences. We have different things that we've learned through life and how we got here.
Mm-hmm.
Like you can slap a number on somebody, but you really can't point fingers and go, look at this dumbass, unless they're doing some stupid shit.
There's just also, like I said before, so many factors that go into that,
Mhm.
like, or that go into a person.
Yeah.
There's emotional intelligence. There's also like physicality, looks.
Part of it.
Like, there's so many other things that make up a person that I think just basing it off of IQ and a number is silly.
Hmm.
I mean, it's definitely part of it, but I don't think it's everything.
It's a chunk. It's a good predicting factor, but it is not everything. Well,
And with that said, I'm going to go take another IQ test.
stuff.
Happy Wednesday. Go take an IQ test on Impulse and share your score with us. We want to know.
Or maybe we don't.
Or maybe we don't, but either way, have a good rest of your week. Bye.